There goes, good for you. Yeah. Hello everybody. Sitting here with the Fuzzy family. I'll introduce you to some of them as they perk up, I'm sure. Hopefully you're able to hear me all right there. A little bit breezy. Thought we'd read some children's stories. Whoa, everybody seems excited. Okay. I think I'm going to start with this volume. I'm just going to look in and just randomly find one, not having selected and curated them. And I'll try and remember to keep my voice up for you all the way over there at the camera, even though all the fuzzies are right here, including you. Is this going to be a good one? So this is Urashimitaro and other Japanese children's stories. And I've opened up to the Magic Mortar. Once upon a time, two brothers lived together in a little village in Japan. The elder brother worked very hard all the time, but the younger brother was very lazy and good for nothing. Yeah, I'll have to explain that to you, Beaver, later. Beavers do not understand that. One day, the elder brother went off to the mountains to work. While he was working, an old man came up to him and gave him a mortar made of stone, the kind used for grinding rice or wheat into flour. We'll get to the chipmunk part soon, Zaki. This is a magic mortar, which will give you anything you wish for, said the old man. Please take it home with you. The elder brother was very happy and rushed home with the mortar. Please give me rice. We need rice. So saying, he ground the stick in the mortar, and all at once out came rice, bales of rice. There was so much that he gave rice to everyone in the village. This is wonderful. This is a great help. Thank you very much. The villagers were all very happy. That is, everyone was happy except the lazy younger brother. I'm sorry, Beaver. It's very confusing. Okay, Piglet and Pooh want me to start reading The House at Pooh Corner. They're holding their selection. Maybe we'll get to those in a bit. Okay, all right. We're going to finish this one, everybody. That is, everyone was happy except the lazy younger brother. I wish I had that. I'd make better use of it, he grumbled to himself. And one day, he stole the magic mortar and ran away. No one will be able to catch me if I can get to the ocean, he thought, as he ran to the seashore. When he reached the shore, he found a small rowboat. He took it and rowed very hard out to sea. He soon was far out and right in the middle of the big waves. Oh, that sounds exciting, Sacred Rat, doesn't it? Then he stopped rowing and began to think what he wanted to ask the mortar for. I have it. I would like a lot of nice, sweet little cakes. And he began to grind at the mortar with the stick. Give me cake, and lots of fine white cakes came rolling out of the mortar. My, how good they are, and what a lot of cakes I got. And he ate every one. He had eaten so many, and they were so sweet that he began to feel like he wanted to eat something salty, to take the too sweet taste out of his mouth. And there's some nice drawings of them that Saki and I are enjoying. So he ground at the mortar again and said, give me salt this time. I want salt. I want salt. And now salt came pouring out of the mortar, all white and shiny. And it kept coming and coming. Enough, he cried. I've had enough. Stop. But the salt kept coming and coming, and the boat began to fill up and get heavy. And still, the salt kept coming, and now the boat was so full it started to sink. And as the brother sank with the boat, he was still crying, enough, enough. But the mortar kept on giving out salt, and more salt, even down at the bottom of the ocean. And it is still doing it. And that is why the sea is salty. What do you think of that, Saki? Not really your favorite. Okay. That's all right. I'm going to peek here and see if there's going to be too long as to strain your perhaps limited internet attention. That's Ming-Lo Moves the Mountain, which I had remembered as a book-length children's book. And so we may read from John Muth from his Zen Shorts. And he has about 4 or 5 of these books. And this one has pandas in it. Goodness. We have pandas over here. Alright, so I'll just start here. I'm not sure how long this one goes. Okay, buddy? Michael, there's a bear outside, said Carl. A what? Called Michael? Sorry, Saki. He's learned to be wary of bears here at Someday Farm. Alright, head inside if there's a bear. That's what you learned. That's okay. A bear. He's really big and he's in the backyard. What's he doing? Michael asked. He's sitting. He has an umbrella. An umbrella? By the time the boys got outside, their sister Addie was already talking with him. I'm sorry for arriving unannounced, said the bear. The wind carried my umbrella all the way from my backyard to your backyard. I thought I would retrieve it before it became a nuisance. He spoke with a slight panda accent. Michael introduced himself. Then Addie introduced Carl because Carl was shy around bears he didn't know. Did you hear that, Pooh? And this is how Addie, Michael, and Carl met Stillwater. The next day, Addie went to have tea with Stillwater. Hello, Addie said as she stepped inside. Come in. Come in, a faraway voice called. Then she heard the voice say, oh yes, come out, come out. Stillwater was in the backyard. He was in a tent. This is a birthday present from my Uncle Rise, Stillwater said. He always gives presents on his birthdays to celebrate the day he was born. I like it so much that I'm not staying in my house right now. Stillwater invited Addie to sit with him. You brought me some cake, said Stillwater. That was very nice of you. Is it your birthday? No, said Addie. It's not mine either, said Stillwater, but let me give you a gift for my uncle's birthday. I will tell you a story. The story, beginning on the next page, is Uncle Rye and the Moon. Hey, Saki, you coming back? We're done with the bears. Come on. Watch out for the Ebola, Fuzzy. There you go. There you go. That's Ebola. But we're quarantined because of that. Hop aboard, buddy. There's no more bears in this story, I think. Okay? Thank you for the visit. I think you might have knocked Maria over. There you go, Maria. Make sure you get texted. They'll have a chance to listen to. Okay. There you go, Bob. Okay. Everybody ready? Letting Gerald have a quick look. Uncle Rye and the Moon. My Uncle Rye lived alone in a small house up in the hills. He didn't own many things. He lived a simple life. One evening he discovered he had a visitor. A robber had broken into the house and was rummaging through my uncle's few belongings. The robber didn't notice Uncle Rye, and when my uncle said hello, the robber was so startled he almost fell down. Uncle smiled at the robber and shook his hand. Welcome, welcome, how nice of you to visit. The robber opened his mouth to speak, but he couldn't think of anything to say. Because Rye never lets anyone leave empty-handed, he looked around the tiny hut for a gift for the robber. But there was nothing to give. The robber began to back toward the door. He wanted to leave. At last, Uncle Rye knew what to do. He took off his only robe, which was old and tattered. Here, he said, please, take this. The robber thought my uncle was crazy. He took the robe, dashed out the door, and escaped into the night. The next page is very dark. My uncle sat and looked at the moon, its silvery light spilling over the mountains, making all things quietly beautiful. Poor man, lamented my uncle. All I had to give him was my tattered robe. If only I could have given him this wonderful moon. So that's the first short in John Muth's Zen Shorts. What shall we read from next? Well, I think that a very, very fine idea is to read a bit from the Tales of Bunjitsu Bunny. I know. Well, this is by the great sensei John Himmelman. And this is a story of one of his students who has beat me up a few times. Her name's Isabel, and she is just about one panda tall. And she's quite an accomplished martial artist. And being an accomplished martial artist does not just mean that you punch and kick. And we may learn a little bit about that in the Tales of Bunjitsu Bunny. This is Ella Fitz right here. And this is Gerald, the love of her life. So Ella Fitzgerald, you guys are going to sit over here. There we go, Ella Fitz. Okay. Everybody okay? Okay. Apparently there's another elephant and giraffe over here. And that's Peaches down here, and this is Rain. And I'm going to keep Ebola away from them. Okay. So it begins. I don't think I'm going to read the whole volume, but you can certainly read your own. Introducing Isabel. Isabel was the best Bunjitsu artist in her school. She could kick higher than anyone. She could hit harder than anyone. She could throw her classmates farther than anyone. Some were frightened of her. Sorry, Thomas. I know. There we go. But Isabel never hurt another creature unless she had to. Bunjitsu is not just about kicking, hitting, and throwing, she said. It is about finding ways not to kick, hit, and throw. They called her Bunjitsu Bunny. Next chapter is the locked door. One afternoon, Isabel saw her fellow Bunjitsu students outside their school. Teacher had left a sign on the door. It read, "Come on in." "Teacher wants us to go inside," said Max, "but the door is locked." "It is a test," said Kyle. "He wants us to kick the door open." Kyle kicked the door as hard as he could. "Ow!" he yelped, hopping up and down on one leg. "No," said Betsy. "He wants us to punch it down with our fists." They all punched the door with their mighty Bunjitsu fists. "Ow! Ow! Ouch! Ow! 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 Ow!" they said. The door hadn't moved an inch. "I have an idea," said Ben. "What's the hardest part of our body?" "The head," said Wendy. "What's that? I think the nightly flying koala is about to land." "Oh, there, I knew it." Yay. Good job, everybody. Yay. Thank you for joining us. "The head," said Wendy. "Right," said Ben. "On the count of 3, we will all perform the running Bunjitsu headbutt. 1, 2. Suddenly, the door opened. Isabel was on the other side. "Come on in," she said. "Teacher is waiting." "How did you get in?" said Betsy. Isabel pointed to the open window by the door and said, "When the door is locked, go through a window." That is using your heads. Thank you. little reading from the Tales of Bunjitsu Bunny by Sensei Himmelman. And I think we'll read a little bit for Pooh and Piglet before we go inside to get warm, okay? And this is A.A. Milne's House at Pooh Corner. It's pretty exciting, huh? Oh boy, elephants. Sorry, elephants. There you go. So I'll just open up to, what I've opened up to is the woolery. It was at this exciting moment that something came through the trees and bumped into Owl. Okay, I'll go on. The board fell to the ground, and Piglet and Roo, I thought Roo was over here. Aha. There's Piglet and Roo. And Roo too. The board fell to the ground, and Piglet and Roo bent over it eagerly. "Oh, it's you," said Owl crossly. "Hello, Eeyore," said Rabbit. "There you are. Where have you been?" Eeyore took no notice of them. "Good morning, Christopher Robin," he said, brushing away Roo and Piglet and sitting down on the woolery. "Are we alone?" "Yes," said Christopher Robin, smiling to himself. "I have been told the news has worked through to my corner of the forest. The damp bit down on the right which nobody wants, that a certain person is looking for a house. I have found one for him." "Ah, well done," said Rabbit kindly. Eeyore looked round slowly at him and then turned back to Christopher Robin. "We have been joined by something," he said in a loud whisper, "but no matter. We can leave it behind. If you will come with me, Christopher Robin, I will show you the house." Christopher Robin jumped up. "Come on, Pooh," he said. "Come on, Tigger," cried Roo. "Shall we go, Owl?" said Rabbit. "Wait a moment," said Owl, picking up his notice board, which had just come into sight again. Eeyore waved them back. "Christopher Robin and I are going for a short walk," he said. "Not a jostle. If he likes to bring Pooh and Piglet with him, I shall be glad of their company, but one must be able to breathe." "That's all right," said Rabbit, rather glad to be left in charge of something. "We'll go on getting the things out. Now then, Tigger, where's that rope? What's the matter, Owl?" Owl, who had just discovered that his new address was the Smudge, coughed at Eeyore sternly, but said nothing, and Eeyore, with most of the woolery behind him, marched off with his friends. So, in a little while, they came to the house which Eeyore had found, and for some minutes before they came to it, Piglet was nudging Pooh, and Pooh was nudging Piglet. And they were saying, "It is, and it can't be, and it is really," to each other. "It is, it can't be, it is really." And when they got there, it really was. "There," said Eeyore proudly, stopping them outside Piglet's house, and the name on it, and everything. "Oh," cried Christopher Robin, wondering whether to laugh or what. "Just the house for Owl, don't you think so, little Piglet?" And then Piglet did a noble thing. Is this your favorite part? Okay, all right. And he did it in a sort of dream, while he was thinking of all the wonderful words Pooh had hummed about him. "Yes, it's just the house for Owl," he said grandly, "and I hope he'll be very happy in it." And then she gulped twice, because she had been very happy in it herself. "What do you think, Christopher Robin?" asked Eeyore, a little anxiously, feeling that something wasn't quite right. Christopher Robin had a question to ask first, and he was wondering how to ask it. "Well," he said at last, "it's a very nice house. And if your own house is blown down, you must go somewhere else, mustn't you, Piglet? What would you do if your house was blown down?" Before Piglet could think, Pooh answered for her. "He'd come and live with me," said Pooh. "Wouldn't you, Piglet?" Piglet squeezed his paw. "Thank you, Pooh," she said. "I should love to." And that is an evening reading with the sun setting here under the Snow Goose Cherry at Someday Farm with a wild cast of characters. Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, Bob Bear. Thank you, Barely Bear. Thank you, the other Bob Bear. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Stacked Hedgies. Thank you, Koalas. Thank you, Wawawa. Thank you, Sacred Rat. Thank you, Sacred Rat, everybody. Thank you, Other Hedgie. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Moo. And thank you, Beavers and Tigers and Moosies. Thank you, Snoopy and Pandas and Slothies and Bob and Yatradas. And thank you, Gerald and Elephants. And even you, thank you, Ebola.